The warm Aruban breeze carried laughter and the salty tang of the Caribbean as Natalee Holloway stepped into Carlos and Charlie's on May 29, 2005. The 18-year-old Alabama high school graduate glowed under the neon lights, her blonde hair catching the strobes as she celebrated with classmates. Just hours earlier, she'd called her mother Beth to say, "I'm having the time of my life." At 1:30 a.m., security cameras captured Natalee leaving the bar with three figures: Dutch student Joran van der Sloot and brothers Deepak and Satish Kalpo. Witnesses later described Joran's intense gaze as he whispered in Natalee's ear near the exit. She looked happy, not drunk, a bartender recalled, just trusting. Then, nothing, no screams, no struggle, just a chilling series of contradictions. Joran claimed he'd dropped Natalee at the Holiday Inn. Her hotel security showed no record. The Kalpo brothers insisted they left her conscious on the beach, but tides that night would have erased all traces. A taxi driver reported seeing a girl matching Natalee's description fighting with a tall guy near Marriott Hotel, never verified. As sunrise painted the island pink, Natalee's friends made a horrifying discovery. Her bed hadn't been slept in. Her passport, clothes, and medications sat untouched. The group's return flight to Birmingham took off at noon, without her. By day 2, Aruban police found Joran's story crumbling. His cell phone pinged near the Marriott at 3 a.m., hours after he claimed to be home. Sand in his car matched 2 beaches, including a secluded cove called Boca Catalina, where fishermen later reported a terrible smell that vanished after rain. Most haunting, Natalee's last text, sent at 1:37 a.m. Going with Joran. Don't worry. The words still burn in Beth Holloway's memory. That wasn't my daughter, she insists. Natalee always signed texts with "Love you." Always. Want to hear the interrogation tapes that exposed Joran's lies? Subscribe now. Chapter 2 reveals his jailhouse confession and why it disappeared. The interrogation room fan spun lazily as Joran van der Sloot smirked at Aruban detectives on June 9, 2005. "I left her safe," he insisted, tapping his fingers on the table in a rhythm that matched the ocean waves outside. But his alibi was already unraveling. Security footage from the Holiday Inn showed no trace of Natalee that night, and his cell phone records painted a damning trail. Then came the first confession. Under pressure, Joran changed his story. "Okay, we went to the beach. She collapsed. I panicked and left her there." His eyes darted to the door as he spoke, as if expecting someone. Detectives noted his shirt, freshly washed, but forensics would later find traces of sand matching 2 distinct beaches. One was the popular Palm Beach, the other, a remote, rocky shore called Boca Catalina, where fishermen reported seeing a young man digging near the cliffs before dawn. Want to hear the chilling jailhouse recording where Joran describes Natalee's final moments? Subscribe now. This audio was banned in Aruba for years. The Holloway family's private investigator, T.J. Ward, obtained a bombshell in 2008. Joran had confessed to an undercover informant in a Dutch prison. She was convulsing. "I didn't help her," he whispered before claiming he'd disposed of Natalee's body in the ocean using cinder blocks. Yet, when confronted, Joran laughed. "Fooled you," he taunted. "I lie for fun." The evidence grew stranger. A resort employee found a buried beach towel with Natalee's hair, but it vanished from police custody. Joran's father, a prominent judge, was seen meeting with Aruban officials the night before. Key evidence disappeared. Deepak Kalpo suddenly recalled seeing Joran with a shovel. then refused to testify. By 2010, the world saw Joran's true nature when he murdered 21-year-old Stephanie Flores in Peru, beating her to death exactly 5 years after Natalee vanished. In his Lima hotel room, police found Natalee's name scrawled on a receipt. "He wanted us to know," Beth Holloway said, her voice breaking. "He's proud of it." Now, with Joran finally imprisoned for Stephanie's murder, one question remains. Will he ever reveal where Natalee truly rests? The Aruban sun beat down on the makeshift search party as they combed through the cactus-strewn terrain near the Marriott in June 2005. A local man named Gustavo claimed to have seen an American girl being forced into a car that matched the Calpo brothers' Honda. But by the time police arrived, the vehicle had been meticulously scrubbed with bleach. Then came the most bizarre twist. Deepak Calpo suddenly remembered seeing Joran with a shovel near Arashi Beach, but when pressed, his story dissolved. Maybe it was a dream, he shrugged. Behind the scenes, a Dutch forensic team made a chilling discovery. Soil samples from Joran's car contained traces of calcium carbonate, a compound found in Aruba's limestone caves. Divers rushed to explore underwater caverns off Mamak Beach, where fishermen reported seeing bubbles rising for days after Natalee vanished. The search yielded nothing but a single pearl earring, later confirmed not to be Natalee's. Want to see the never-before-aired cave dive footage? Subscribe now. We've obtained the 47-minute raw tape that authorities tried to seal. In 2007, the case took a surreal turn. Joran, now a poker player in Thailand, gave a televised interview confessing to selling Natalee into slavery. "She's alive in Venezuela," he smirked. The Holloways spent $250,000 chasing the lead, only for Joran to later admit, "I needed money for gambling debts." Psychiatrists analyzing his behavior identified hallmarks of narcissistic sadism. He derived pleasure from the Holloway's suffering. Then, in 2010, the nightmare repeated. Stephanie Flores' body was found in Joran's Lima hotel room. Her neck snapped, the TV still playing a poker tournament. Police found her blood-soaked clothes stuffed in his suitcase, alongside a handwritten note calculating gambling odds on the day Natalee disappeared. Most haunting. Stephanie was killed on May 30th, 2010, exactly 5 years after Natalee vanished. "This wasn't coincidence," said Peruvian detective Walter Rios. He was commemorating. With Joran finally imprisoned for Stephanie's murder, Beth Holloway confronted him in 2022, offering immunity for Natalee's location. His response? A slow smile and 3 words, "What's in it for me?" The answer may lie in Aruba's caves, or in the one place no one has searched. Beth Holloway stood before the microphones in 2023, her hands steady but her voice trembling. "After 18 years, we finally have remains," she announced. Not Natalee's, but partial bones found in Aruba's Savaneta wetlands, now confirmed through advanced DNA testing to belong to another missing tourist. The cruel twist: the discovery proved the island could preserve human remains for decades, reigniting hope that Natalee might still be found. Joran van der Sloot, now rotting in a Peruvian prison for Stephanie Flores' murder, became the Holloway's unlikely key to closure. In a 2022 plea deal, he admitted to accidentally killing Natalee during rough sex, a claim forensic experts dismissed as another lie. "He gets off on dangling hope," said FBI profiler Emily Riedel. This was his last game. Yet the confession allowed Beth to secure a $250,000 wrongful death settlement, every penny funneled into her Natalee Holloway Resource Center for Missing Persons. The most shocking revelation came from Aruban officials themselves. Former Detective Alan Ragemakers confessed in 2023 that critical evidence, including a blood-stained mattress from Joran's childhood home, had been misfiled for years. "We feared tourism would collapse," he admitted. The mattress, when tested, contained traces of Natalee's DNA and Joran's. Want to see the suppressed crime scene photos? Subscribe now. We've obtained exclusive access to the lost evidence files. Natalee's case changed travel safety forever. The Holloway Act now requires U.S. embassies to intervene in missing citizen cases within 48 hours. Aruban tourism still hasn't recovered. 2019 bookings were 34% below pre-2005 levels. Joran's cellmate claims he whispers, "She's closer than they think." In his sleep, Beth's final act was personal. In 2023, she petitioned to have Joran extradited to Alabama to face charges, not for murder, but for wire fraud, after scamming the Holloways with fake information about Natalee's remains. The request was denied, but the message was clear. This isn't over. Perhaps the truth lies in the last photo ever taken of Natalee, a blurry snapshot from Carlos and Charlie's, where forensic analysts recently spotted a fourth figure lurking in the shadows behind her. An unidentified man, watching, waiting. The case may be cold, but the world still listens for whispers in Aruba's caves, and for Beth Holloway's next move.